First at noon, heated exchanges on Capitol Hill between Governor Josh Green and Republican members of a Senate subcommittee who claimed the adverse effects of the COVID-19 vaccines were intentionally concealed. Governor Green today testified before the U.S. Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, which held a hearing on the role of science and federal health agencies during the pandemic. Green spoke about how he led Hawaii's COVID response as lieutenant governor and that Hawaii had the lowest mortality rate and highest vaccination rate in the country. Senator Bernie Moreno from Ohio grilled the governor on some of his decisions.
Where's the science where I had to quarantine for 14 days? Tell me the science behind why you locked your residents up and did not allow them to go grocery shopping, why you closed your beaches and your parks.
14 days was how long it took for people to get over the disease, and people were still shedding virus through that period, and that's why you do use science and I use science, but you didn't like science for Hawaii. But we did have the test, and we did have the test to enter Hawaii so people could make a choice, an informed choice, and they did, and then they didn't have to quarantine at all. Just make sure you know that, because I think you got your facts wrong.
Now we're going to have much more testimony from this hearing coming up on later editions of Hawaii News Now. And happening now, 2 attempted homicide cases on Oahu. Honolulu police confirmed they're investigating on Tantalus Drive after a woman showed up at the hospital at around 7 this morning with a gunshot wound. She was admitted in critical condition. There's no word on any arrests or what led up to that shooting. And hours earlier, officers were on Oahu's North Shore investigating a shooting in Kahuku. The emergency call came in just before 2:30 a.m. HPD confirms that a woman was shot in the torso during an argument. She was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. The search is still on for the suspect. A United Airlines flight bound for California was forced to return to Honolulu's airport. Officials say a security issue was the cause, and this comes just after a Hawaiian Airlines flight had a bomb scare. Casey Lund has more details from the airport.
Good afternoon from Daniel K. Inouye International Airport. Let's start with that most recent threat. United Airlines Flight 1169, 339 passengers, 10 crew members on board that flight last night, taking off from Honolulu bound for Los Angeles. It was in the air for about an hour. That's when the crew discovered there was some kind of a threat written on the mirror in the lavatory on board that aircraft. That's when they alerted the cockpit, and the decision was made to land the plane. We talked to one passenger who says they were on the tarmac for almost 4 hours. It wasn't until early this morning that that plane was cleared and folks were able to go away from the tarmac and make other arrangements, many of them booking flights later tonight to get to California. Take a listen to what one of those passengers told us this morning over in Terminal 1.
I had to wait in the plane for around 4 hours to deplane because we had to go out one at a time, and then bomb dogs had to check out every single bag that came out and every single person. They didn't know who it was at all. And then later I found out that through the airport manager that somebody had written on the wall, on the bathroom mirror, that there's a bomb on the plane. Yeah, FBI were on the scene, over a dozen police cars. It was pretty intense.
United Airlines confirming that there was some kind of message, a threatening message written on the lavatory mirror in there. We don't know exactly what was written. We're working to get more information, but as we know, no arrests, no suspects in this case just yet. The plane was cleared, and again, many of those passengers made other arrangements. Now let's move on to what happened yesterday. A recap from yesterday morning. That Flight 15 from Hawaiian Airlines from San Diego to Honolulu was stopped on the tarmac when it was clear John Stea, the 35-year-old suspect who was a Navy sailor apparently, had made some comments that the passenger next to him may have had a bomb. That got word to the flight crew and eventually the cockpit. That plane was stopped before taking off on the tarmac there as the authorities in California worked to clear that plane and make sure there was no credible threat. You can see him being taken off the plane right there. Many cell phone cameras were rolling. We also talked to passengers on the ground here in Hawaii when they landed about the ordeal. Many of them saying they believe he may have been intoxicated.
I couldn't hear, but he was just talking to other people that he had like bomb, and he was drunk, so people were kind of worried. And yeah, I think they talked to like the crew member and talked to the captain, and the whole flight stopped.
Before we were going to board, these gentlemen were acting out or doing something and walking in. He fell on the floor right in front of us. We didn't think anything of it.
And that was the first time we noticed them.
Yeah, and then once we were on, we started to taxi and ready to take off, and the captain came on and said, we have a non-specific threat against this plane. And so he had to just pulled over to the side there, and we all waited, and we did for like an hour. We waited.
John Stea is charged with making a false bomb threat, among other charges. If he is convicted, he could face up to a year in prison. We're still working to gather more information about both of these threats, but all the passengers that I was able to talk to today and those that we connected with yesterday say they're grateful those precautions were taken and that nobody was hurt. Reporting at the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport, I'm Casey Lund for Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Case. A day after a man was killed while trying to cross Nimitz Highway near Honolulu's airport, another pedestrian was hit on the roadway last night. A 29-year-old female who was not in the crosswalk was struck near Elliott Street at around 9:10 p.m. She was then hit by another vehicle while she was lying in the road. She was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. HPD does not believe the drivers were speeding or under the influence. Guilty, the man behind a brutal attack at a Kapolei restaurant has been convicted. Jared Elizares faces a life sentence with the possibility of parole. Back in 2023, the 25-year-old stabbed a stranger and slammed the man's head into a urinal. Elizares waived his right to a jury trial, so the judge decided on the guilty verdict. He's set to be sentenced on August 28th. Investigators say a fire that killed 2 pets and displaced 4 people in Ewa Beach was sparked by a lithium-ion battery used to charge an electric bodyboard. Flames gutted the single-story home on Edgewater Drive on May 11th. HFD classified the cause as accidental. Damage is estimated at $628,000. The Navy will discuss plans to reactivate water wells in the Red Hill area during an open house today. The Aiea Halava shaft and the Red Hill shaft were closed after a leak at the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility when it contaminated drinking water in 2021. Now, ongoing efforts to close the underground fuel storage facility will also be discussed at the open house. It's held at the Hokulani Community Center, and it begins at 4:45 this afternoon. A high-stakes meeting in Washington, D.C. prompted by an H&N investigation into Hawaii's one-sided kidney trade. Now, Congresswoman Jill Tokuda has asked the United Network for Organ Sharing for a special consideration that could make more of the kidneys donated in Hawaii available to local patients. Allison Blair has more.
When it comes to organ sharing, records show Hawaii is at a stark disadvantage. Over the last 8 years, for every 46 kidneys that have gone to the mainland, Hawaii has gotten just 1 in return.
2,472 miles. That's the shortest route between Hawaii and the continent. That kind of geographic isolation can dramatically limit access to care, especially if you're in need of an organ transplant. It's why officials at the United Network for Organ Sharing, or UNOS, implemented special considerations for patients in Hawaii and Puerto Rico in need of liver transplants. Now, Congresswoman Jill Tokuda is hopeful similar accommodations can be made to help the more than 200 people on Hawaii's kidney transplant wait list.
I did ask the question as to whether or not we could do that for kidneys as well.
What was their response?
They didn't know. So to me, that's a positive, right? It wasn't like it was a clear reason why kidneys needed to be excluded from these special considerations.
That dialogue was part of an hour-long discussion Monday with the agency's Vice President of External Affairs. Tokuda initiated the meeting after an H&N investigation revealed hundreds of kidneys donated in the islands were being shipped to the mainland, while only a handful were coming to Hawaii. Data shows between 2017 and 2024, a total of 604 kidneys have been donated locally. Of those, 232, nearly 40%, were sent to patients living on the continent. During that same 8-year time period, Hawaii received just 5 kidneys in return. According to UNOS, of the kidneys that were transplanted in other states, 55% had been offered to a candidate listed in Hawaii before they were accepted elsewhere.
The real question is, what conditions do we have here that are making it difficult for us to keep our organs here? And part of that is looking at the data. Once we get that data, I think it'll paint a clearer picture of what the challenges are, then what's the way forward.
What is your message to people on Hawaii's kidney transplant waitlist?
Don't lose hope. There is a lot of commitment on all sides to make sure that there is equity and there's fairness and there's increased access.
UNOS also provided the Congresswoman with a 14-page letter, including detailed information on how organs are distributed to patients across the United States. You can find that letter on our website, hawaiinewsnow.com. Just click on this story. For HNN Investigates, I'm Allison Blair.
Thank you, Allie. Meanwhile, President Trump met with the president of South Africa today. The Trump administration recently granted a group of white South Africans refugee status in the U.S., alleging a genocide. Trump ally and advisor Elon Musk, who was born in South Africa, has amplified those debunked claims. Natalie Brand has more from the White House.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa hoped his White House visit would reset trade relations with the U.S. Instead, the two leaders clashed over whether genocide is taking place in South Africa.
Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you.
President Trump played a video.
These are burial sites right here,
pushing claims white South African farmers were being killed and their land seized.
That scene of, you see how many crosses they have. Those crosses, that's a dead person in every one of them. That's a rough thing to explain away.
Earlier this year, a South African judge dismissed the idea of genocide as not real, and the government says allegations about land seizures aren't true.
Ramaphosa told President Trump the people in the video are from an opposition party who are not part of his government and do not represent its policies.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can take land.
And then when they take the land, they kill the white farmer. Nothing happens to them.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people.
South Africa's agriculture minister came to Ramaphosa's defense.
We've decided to join hands precisely to keep that lot out of government.
The tense Oval Office meeting was reminiscent of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit earlier in the year and comes a week and a half after the administration granted white Afrikaners refugee status while at the same time restricting other groups. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Let's take you live now to Kilauea. It doesn't look like much, but scientists say they expect the next eruption to start sometime between now and Friday. While we haven't seen lava fountaining yet, officials say intermittent lava spattering has started at both vents. We'll continue to monitor Hale Ma'uma'u and bring you the latest updates on air and online.
Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. We're tracking a better chance for rainfall on Thursday and Friday, and I want to walk through our first alert futurecast going forward throughout the rest of Wednesday. Typical windward showers out there, a few showers mostly over Melco regions, and a few sprinkles over leeward areas. But as we're going into Thursday and Friday, a weak disturbance is going to be moving across the state. You can see a lot of rainfall offshore and potentially even some rumbles of thunder expected on Thursday and Friday afternoon. Here's a quick look at our first alert 7-day forecast.
Thank you, Drew. Ahead on This Is Now, in his first general audience, Pope Leo XIV makes a plea that humanitarian aid be allowed to enter Gaza. More on his message in 2 minutes. Plus this.
It's college graduation season. And then what? I'm CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger with financial tips for new grads.
Leo XIV is calling for an end to the war in Gaza. Now, he made the appeal in his first weekly audience in St. Peter's Square. Chris Livesay reports from Rome.
A warm welcome for Pope Leo XIV, with the faithful sharing the joy of his first general audience since becoming pontiff. The 69-year-old zipped through St. Peter's Square in his Pope-mobile before shifting focus to the war in Gaza.
La situazione nella striscia di Gaza.
He said the situation in the Gaza Strip is increasingly worrying and painful, and called for, quote, sufficient humanitarian aid to be let in. Under pressure from the U.S. and other allies, Israel allowed more aid into Gaza this week, but has not eased its military operations. Humanitarian agencies say a total blockade on aid has led to severe shortages of food and medicine.
Alle ostilità.
Pope Leo called for an end to the war between Israel and Hamas, saying children, the elderly, and the sick are paying a heartbreaking price. The first U.S. Pope is making peace an early theme of his papacy, turning his focus outward and urging the world to do the same. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Rome.
Well, it's college graduation season, and many new grads will soon need to manage outstanding student loans while taking advantage of workplace benefits. CBS business analyst Jill Schlesinger strikes the balance.
Congratulations, graduates. You did it. And now it's welcome to the real world. To get a grip on your new financial reality, start by detailing what you owe on your student loans, the interest rates of the loan, the monthly amount, and when the first payment is due. If you can't make the monthly payment, consider an income-driven repayment plan, which can reduce the monthly amount by extending the period of time you have to repay the loan. When it comes to health insurance, look closely at any healthcare option offered through your employer. You could stay on your parents' plan until age 26, and that might be cheaper. If using employer insurance, consider a high deductible plan, which can be more affordable. Finally, even if the cash flow is tight, try to get in on a retirement plan if that new job offers one. Make contributions at least up to the company's match if one exists. If there's a Roth option for retirement, use it, because paying taxes up front on contributions now while you're in a low tax bracket will likely pay off in the future. In New York, I'm CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
Now, First Alert Weather with Drew Davis.
Well, happy Wednesday morning, everybody. Here's what we're tracking going forward throughout the rest of this week. Just a quick look at today. We've got trade winds out there and a couple of windward showers, a few sprinkles over leeward areas. But as we go into Thursday and Friday, there's a very weak upper level disturbance that's going to give us a better chance for a few downpours out there and maybe even some isolated thunderstorms, a few rumbles of thunder expected throughout Thursday afternoon and Friday afternoon. Less rain expected for your Memorial Day weekend. Breaking down our first alert futurecast, here's the timestamp right here as we're going throughout the rest of Wednesday. You'll notice the typical windward shower pattern, trade winds blowing moisture in from off to the northeast, and a better chance for some Malka showers out there. As we're going into Thursday and Friday, however, you'll notice each afternoon a better chance for shower coverage and heavy rainfall. Again, we could see a few downpours out there and maybe even a few rumbles of thunder, but right now it's looking to be relatively isolated. We're just letting you know that the chance is elevated as we go into Thursday and Friday. Just pointing out, as we're going to 7 a.m. on Friday, you're seeing heavier showers over Kauai and Oahu. This is going into Friday afternoon, still seeing a better chance for those downpours and some isolated thunderstorms. A quick look at our surf and shoreline forecast. North-facing shores around 1 to 3 feet. West-facing shores also relatively small. I want to point out box jellyfish are possible on west and south-facing shores of Oahu as we're going into Wednesday and Thursday, and east-facing shores still choppy because of the breezy trades. We do have a small craft advisory up over the eastern half of the state. This is in between Maui County and Hawaii Island, and also the southern and southwestern waters off of Hawaii Island. This is going to continue until 6 p.m. on Thursday and could get extended further in time, especially with the breezy trades we're expecting going forward into the weekend. You'll see that on our first alert 7-day forecast. Wednesday and Thursday, a high chance for box jellyfish again on Oahu south and west facing shores. Friday, a lower chance. Saturday and Sunday, they're moving away from our shores. Here's just a quick look at our first alert 7-day forecast, breaking down exactly what we're expecting. Thursday and Friday, again, a better chance for rain, Malka showers, Malka rainfall, and a few downpours possible. Also, some isolated thunderstorms. Breezy conditions persist as we go into Saturday and beyond. Memorial Day looking to be mostly sunny and relatively warm.
Thanks, Drew. Still to come, a multi-billion-dollar theme park is opening tomorrow at Universal Orlando. We're going to take you to the epic universe in 2 minutes. Good news, history will be made on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway this Friday when all 6 Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles will race on the storied track for the first time ever. Each will try to make it to the Wiener Circle, and you can stream it live on the Fox Sports app. Well, Universal Studios is opening its latest theme park in Florida, and it's the first major theme park opening in the U.S. since 1999. Mark Barger gives us a preview of what to expect.
It's a big deal to see a dragon for the first time.
And just one of many elements that Universal Orlando is counting on when portals open Thursday to its new multi-billion-dollar Epic Universe theme park.
Honestly, I'm speechless. Just there's no words for what you see and how immersed you are in everything.
That's music to the ears of the park's designers who created 5 distinct worlds within it, including the Isle of Berk, based on the How to Train Your Dragon franchise.
It is very much alive. We focused on putting so much kinetic energy in this land.
The Ministry of Magic conjures connections to Harry Potter, complete with frozen butterbeer, while Dark Universe is devoted to classic monsters.
I think the right atmosphere, even down to the type of trees they planted here to give it that sort of scary sort of look.
Far from scary is Super Nintendo World.
It's amazing. It's like stepping inside a Nintendo 64.
An environment very familiar, but also very new.
Whatever the die-hard Nintendo fans, if they're happy, we're happy.
Several thousand fans immersed themselves in a sneak preview during a soft opening.
I was jumping for joy, really. It's too hot, but still, I'm so excited.
As the park aims for a launch
Do you want to say goodbye to our friends here?
worthy of its name. Mark Barger, NBC News.
Very cool. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. And this is Now. We're going to have more headlines coming up first at 4 right here on KHNL. Aloha.